Broads Media.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome on in to Sports Talk with Broads. We are very close to Thanksgiving, so if we do not speak until afterwards, have a happy Thanksgiving with all your loved ones, with your family members. It's great. Just appreciate the time you get to spend together, and it's meaningful. It's very meaningful. So I'm also very thankful for all of you, because without you, this couldn't be possible, and I just love you all to death. So I just want you guys to know that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are fantastic. What's not fantastic is the Brandon Graham injury. Hearing him get emotional on WIP with the morning show was arguably one of the worst listens I ever had to go through. And I mean, I've heard bad radio. I've heard bad callers. I've heard bad takes. I've heard a lot of bad in that way. But just how down, and my stomach was, it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable. I was so broken. I was so crushed. I was so sad. I was so upset to hear him talk like that. Now, if you haven't heard it, which I'm sure a lot of you have, because this is almost at 1 million views right now. Wow, I didn't realize it was getting to that level of passed around. But I'm sure a lot of you have already heard it. It's about 1.5 minutes. I mean, it's beautiful. It's painful to go through, but it's beautiful to know just the relationship with him in the game and him and his teammates and him and the organization. And yeah, so here it is. Let's listen to it first, and then we'll kind of continue the convo.
Well, you know what? Hold on. I'm trying to keep it in. Man.
I'm sorry. Take a moment.
Cool.
Take a moment,
Cool,
Brandon.
man.
Take a moment, man.
Hey, and I know I needed it, but boy, I just love what we've been building, and I just don't want to. I know I ain't letting nobody down as far as getting hurt and stuff, because I know I'm gonna bring that energy.
Brandon, let me jump in for 1 second. You're not letting anybody down. You're not letting the city down. Your teammates.
I know. I'm just
nobody.
Saying, I'm
Don't
being.
even
I'm not
let
even
it
being
cross your mind.
I got you. Because I promise you, I'm just more hurt of just on how we've been coming every week, trying to defy, the odds and being with it, but being with them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be with them. I'm still with them. You know what I'm saying? I know that. But yeah, man, I just needed this right here. I needed to get this out. It's been a while since I cried, man. I'm just, hurting a little bit because, man, I just would, for the 15 years, I've been here and people doubt me. This was a big one for me, and I think I accomplished a lot this year. And man, if that just one little thing, but I know it's God's plan, man, and I'm trusting that, and so that's where I'm at. And but I needed this, man. I needed this in a big way.
Man, I mean, it's unbelievable. I love Brandon Graham, man. I love him. And I think he's got more in the tank. I know I said this in yesterday's show, but I really do believe that he's got more in the tank there. And we'll see what ends up happening. I don't think he wants to go out this way. I think he believes he can still dominate. And knowing the trajectory of this franchise and how we are in a position to compete every single year, you get another crack at this thing legitimately. Man, it's unbelievable. It really, really is. And I don't know exactly how they're going to be able to fill what Brandon Graham brought. There's a few areas they can go. Now, they already made a move. They brought in Charles Harris recently with Carolina, had 3 sacks in 9 games, started about 6 of those games. Decent resume, nothing that jumps off at you, but now's not really the time to be able to make those type of additions, which goes back to how I felt at the deadline, and I was on an island by myself. I kept talking about how if Howie Roseman thought this team was a championship caliber team, in principle, you go out and get more. Because you never know what can happen. You can't allow anything to derail you. It's not just about adding talent because that's part of it. But the other part is, if someone was to get injured, if someone was to miss serious time, you need to have that next level. You got to have that next wave. And I don't necessarily know if Charles Harris is going to step in and be what you could have added at the deadline. And quite frankly, I'd say probably not. I hope I'm wrong, though. But everyone said they're good as is. They don't need to improve. They don't have to sell any assets. They don't have to do X, Y, and Z. Well, that's what you do because of things like this. I'm just pointing that out. But we've had experience, just to put it in perspective, on exactly where you think Charles Harris can go from here. Shaq Leonard had a good resume. Robert Quinn had a good resume. Kevin Byard had a good resume. Sometimes it doesn't matter. And reality hits that there's a reason why Carolina didn't have him anymore before you claimed him. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe playing next to a Jalen Carter type who clearly puts a ton of stress on the other team's O-line, maybe that opens up the door. Maybe there's hunger. Maybe that's what happens. And I'm sorry for starting the show off so negative and sour. I love this football team. I love this football team. So I'm not really thrilled with the direction here. We went super sad to what are we doing, Howie, who brought in Saquon Barkley and brought in Jalen Carter at the draft. There was that video going around of Chicago at the time of the draft, picking up the phone, making the deal with Howie. Idiots. Just flat out idiots. Here's Jalen Carter putting it on a platter for Howie. It's ridiculous. So, yes, a lot of sadness early, anger. I shouldn't feel that way. I believe this team's going to the Super Bowl. But I'm telling you, sitting on your hands at the deadline was a weird move. And if I'm going to be open, I wanted to make a move just because at that particular time, I didn't love where the defensive ends were. And I didn't love where the lack of pass rush was heading. So the idea for me to be on the prowl was just because I wanted to add more to what was already here. But you would have lucked into some depth in case someone was to get hurt. And look, you got Jalix Hunt, you got Milton Williams, who in a pinch maybe could be utilized, Bryce Huff. And I'm saying Milton Williams as an edge rusher, maybe you can get creative with it. Bryce Huff returning, he needs to show up whenever he gets off this whole injury issue with the wrist. Because now it's, you got paid a ton of money for a reason. You got a big-ass contract. We need you to show up. We need you to help contribute and make up for the 20-plus snaps that Brandon Graham got a game. They need to get a lot of production out of those 20-plus snaps. Think about what BG was doing. And here's my fear. If you give Nolan Smith more snaps, if you give Josh Sweat more snaps, do you lose some of their production due to the wear and tear? I don't know. It has to be from within in Charles Harris. I felt good prior to hitting record. But now that I'm sitting here sort of going through what your options are, you can go with Zach Bond being utilized differently than he is now. But do you really want to mess with the type of season he's having? He is playing outrageous. I wouldn't dare for a second ask him to be more of a threat as an edge rusher type. I like what him and Nakobe Dean has been doing. And the way that they've gotten to the quarterback by Vic Fangio and by the way that they run downhill, I want to keep that as is. And I would imagine they would too. It fits the philosophy that they use a lot of the times with their offensive line. Instead of sliding someone from the right side to the left side and then putting someone different in, and now you have two guys in two different positions instead of just one position that's weaker. I'd imagine they use that very similar mindset here with Zach Bond. But I don't even want to put that out there into the universe because it's so silly. But when you are desperate, and the Eagles definitely are, you got to figure this thing out. Look, losing Brandon Graham on the field, I know I'm not breaking news here, but it is a damn problem. Not just from a production level, but just what it means for him to be trash talking every single down. That played a role in the personality of the team. Now, they're going to have to do it differently. Nobody can replace that affection that Brandon Graham shows for the game. He is truly the spirit animal of that franchise when he's around the building. He matters that much, more than just sacks and dominating on the field right now. But every day in the film room, every day on the practice field, every day in the tunnel, every day on the sidelines, every day when he's barking at an offensive lineman talking shit. That is part of the staple on why this team and this defense played with that snarl that they do. Because he talks it, and then, by the way, he's exploding right by you every snap. So, yeah, it's just what he does. And now you need to somehow get somebody else to either generate that in different ways. No one can duplicate BG. That's why he's rare. That's why he's special. That's why he's very important and one of the greatest personalities, because you don't just do that. You don't just inspire the way he inspires. There's a reason why he's captain-like. But whether it's through play, whether it's through hard hitting, and as much as they're saying, Brandon Graham will still be there and he will still be with his teammates, a lot of what I described when he's, after making a play, jawing at somebody, and just what it means to be on the sidelines, getting dapped up by number 55 as you're sitting there waiting for your turn to get on the field. The defense as a group is sitting there with their coaches. They're talking. BG comes down the line and gives you daps you up and gives you some fire to go out there for the next drive. And because it's him, it hits different. It matters more. It speaks higher volumes. And whether he's on the sidelines, not on the sidelines, it matters when you have the pads on and everyone is out there as one. There's a cap on the injured leader role. And it's important to maximize that role, and it's important to still be there. He's going to still be there, and he's going to help as much as humanly possible. But when you compare it to the healthy on-field Brandon Graham, it's a huge gap, a huge separator. And I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do this. Maybe their secondary just plays better. Maybe Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean somehow take over even more with Zach Bond and Nakobe. Maybe the offense's passing game steps up. Maybe Jalen Carter somehow elevates more. Maybe Jordan Davis, Ojomo, somebody else. I don't know. If they move Milton Williams a little differently and then someone in the tackle rotation, I don't know. I don't know. Is getting Jalix Hunt more snaps the answer? Probably not. It's going to have to be, as we sit here and try and talk about it out loud, is a combination of everyone. 5 snaps more from Nolan, 5 snaps more from Josh Sweat, 5 snaps more from whoever else is out there. And that's how you'll collectively make up for Brandon Graham's presence, just in snap count. Unless Charles Harris is that incredible, he just slides in and he does great. But then I also don't know what happens when Bryce Huff returns. If he's a stiff and he stinks, there's no more hiding. That could only take you so far. And I hate that I feel this way because I still love where this team is at. But I guess I'm just, kind of feeling this thing out as we're midweek preparing for a Baltimore Ravens team after the holidays. They got to soul search. They got to dig deep. I believe they can do it. I guess let's start here to shift the gears in a better direction. I do believe they have what it takes to somehow get it. It's just not going to be easy. So I don't necessarily know exactly what it's going to be to help. Maybe it's just playing for BG. And that energy and that focus and that will and that determination just has everybody rise to answer the bell. And that's enough. The contagious feeling in that locker room of wanting to handle this adversity with nothing less than perfection, maybe that's what inspires this team to go out there and then as 53 men, they're all doing their specific role and they're all doing it to a T. And with that, boom, they're good. And Charles Harris is good. Bang. I don't want to even look in the direction of Houston, who got kicked to the curb from Detroit. Detroit lost Hutchinson, right? In what world is a team that lost such a powerful name in Hutchinson, who is letting go of someone who can help pass or can help rush the passer? Why would you go after him if the Lions deem he's not even worth it? I thought that was a little, I don't know. Reaction was a little strong. But I guess, once again, when you're desperate, everything at least has to be on the table. Whenever a name is thrown out there, we have to bite. They're dangling that worm on a little a little local pond. When they freeze, I play pond hockey on those. But, they're throwing a little worm on a fishing hook and they're trying to bait us. And we're biting at it. Right, Shaq Barrett. Yeah, but Shaq Barrett, we can't even go after him. Miami holds his rights. Well, then don't dangle the damn worm in my face. That's all. Shaq Barrett. I want that. How come we can't get that? Schefter. What else? What else? What do I see down here on my little notepad? I think we hit on everything I wanted to. We can take calls. Yeah. Why don't we take calls? First, though, bookies.com. Bookies.com knows bettors have many options to choose from when placing a bet. There are also dozens of factors that come into play. Where should you bet? How much should you bet? What sport should you bet on? And that's why Bookies.com is here. Bookies provides their users with information on every step of the betting process, maximizing the sign-up process. And Bookies provides the best sign-up bonuses that are in-depth, and there's plenty of reviews online for all of these sports books. There's analysis on games, and you can see all the sign-up bonuses and odds at bookies.com/broads. If you use my link down below in the description, it credits the channel and helps my relationships with bookies.com. It's the most amazing way to maximize your betting experience and give you the best sign-up bonuses in the world. So make sure you check it out. It truly is remarkable. I'm having a lot of fun over the last few days diving in. It's like, hey, yo. Hey, yo. And you should dive in as well. All right. With that, let's go to the phones and let's start things off with Sean.
So unfortunately, the good feelings about this victory are tapered by the news about Brandon Graham. What a shame. If that was the last game that Brandon Graham plays in an Eagles uniform, what a performance. What a performance he put on last night. And it's amazing at his age, only a few years removed from an Achilles tendon tear, that he can do that. How he's going to have to work the phones. We're going to have to get some bodies in there. Speaking of great performances, I don't think Saquon's going to win the MVP, but there is no more valuable player to his team than Saquon Barkley. To put on that show against a team that's not 2-12, jockeying for draft position, that's fighting for a playoff spot, fighting for a division title, and to go out there and put 255 on them on the ground, unbelievable. And if the Eagles are to run the table somehow and hoist Lombardi at the end, credit to Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, because they were the ones that went to Sirianni and said, hey, enough BS. We got to start running the ball, and credit to Nick for listening to him and doing it.
Yeah, listen, I think that's fair for sure. Yes, when it was the self-assessment week, which they like to do, they absolutely went into that office and said, we got to get to our real staple here. We got to get to what works with this club the best, and that's handed off to 2-6. And I'm with you, man. You say 255, I say 300 plus, because that 300 plus yards in one game. What are we talking about here? 300. Speaking of that offensive line, though, we are sick in the head. We are. Because there's a lot of us, all of us really, that watch this team compete on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis. That offensive line is so fucking fun to watch. Like, we're sick in the head. We sit here, we go, look at those motherfuckers. Look at those big-ass men. Look at those guys mauling people to the ground. Every play. This group, offensive line-wise, is insane to watch. They are so fun to watch once they get rolling with their run blocking. Excuse me, I downed that Coke during that call. Yo, the offensive line is so much fun to watch. Now, I don't know if you've noticed how sick that is. Maybe we're just so accustomed to it that we don't even think about it like that. But that's insanity. That's part of, like, one of the best parts of this team is just watching those 5 guys run you into the ground all game long. It's great. I love it. I love it. Anyway, what else did he say that I liked? Oh, the Nick thing. Maybe this makes sense to do it in this show, because this show is out of this world weird for me, I think. I don't think it describes how I'm feeling in totality. It's a very short-sighted view. It's a very day or two, I'll get over it. I'm just in a weird spot without BG, and there are concerns, but I love this team. I'm in a weird spot. Maybe the holidays are throwing me off. I don't know. So I just wanted to be known that this is a weird one. This doesn't truly feel like me. So let's go on with this then, with the Nick thing. These stats that are saying Nick Sirianni is compared to 4 Hall of Famers, and that's it, and his winning percentage. This is what it is. Nick's done a good job. The success of the Eagles over the last Doug Peterson and Nick Sirianni run is an organizational it's organizational success. It's not Nick Sirianni is such an elite coach that he deserves to be one of the best coaches ever because of his win percentage. And that's no knock on the guy. But Doug Peterson, for example, part of his success is because it happened with the Philadelphia Eagles and what Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie built. And he was a part of that success. And Nick is a part of this success. But the insane amount of winning, the you're one of the best head coaches to ever live type of winning, should go more towards front office than it does Nick. But I think Nick is a part of this. You know what I'm saying? And I like Nick now. That's why it ties into this personality of the show. I like Nick. All right, I'm living with Nick. I'm vibing with Nick. I'm understanding Nick a little lately. All right, I get it. I get it. I see it. But we're going over the top. CBS or one of those platforms tweeted out a graphic about him and 3 other Hall of Famers and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, Hall of Fame? Hall of Fame! Yet we're sitting here taking calls that good thing the lineman told him what to do. I like Nick now. Relax. It's not that serious. Let's take another call from the hotline.
What's up, Road Mist? Man, what a near perfect game from the Eagles. Not saying every play was perfect. Obviously, Jalen missed a couple throws, but the defense did exactly what they needed to do. They shut down what was a hot offense. The Rams defense, they're a little bit overhyped, in my opinion, but, the offense did what they needed to do. Jalen with a solid game, didn't put the ball in danger, threw it away that he needed to, played smart, and obviously, Saquon Barkley, if this guy is an MVP, then who has ever been MVP? Love this team, love watching them. Go Birds, baby.
300 yards! 300! I went back and watched every single one of his carries, and I looked like my great-grandmother lived till she was about 100 years old. She was at my wedding, and she just sat there, barely any teeth, just smiled, no teeth the whole time. Like 5-6 hours, she smiled the whole time. And it was so priceless, and it was awesome. It was like such a priceless moment. My wife and I joke about it to this day, like, come on, you're happier than great-grandma was at the wedding. That kind of thing, right? We love her. It was great. That's how I was watching Saquon highlights. Happier than the happiest thing ever in life that's happy. Yo, he ran for 270 plus. 2. He's getting compared to Adrian Peterson's here. And if there was no tush push involved with this team, just think about how the numbers would blow other statistics away on top of what he's doing with yards. There's no doubt about it that Saquon Barkley is doing what it takes to win that award when it's not normally going to anybody other than a quarterback. He's doing that level of rare stuff where when it does shock the world and it does go to a different position, it has to be this. And I believe he's got the fire for it. And I like that. See, this isn't the day for the conversation on this show, but a lot of people say Joel Embiid's a loser because he wanted to win an MVP. I don't think it's dumb to have individual goals at all. I think having individual goals is what's great when you also are looking for team success. Now, I have other issues with Joel Embiid right now and the current state of the Sixers, but just in regards to how that relates to Saquon Barkley, if I told you Saquon Barkley wanted to win the MVP, a lot of you would say, yeah, that's cool. That means he's driven. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. No one says you'd rather win it than win a championship. I don't think Saquon would ever subscribe to that. But would he like to win it individually, to have a year that's this crazy, to rewrite his story, as he says? And his first year in Philadelphia, he gets that type of hardware and accolade? I think he wants to do it and will apply himself to do it. Because the whole how many carries should he get combo is starting to get louder and louder if you want to keep him upright. Now, I'm not just going to say throw him out there and let's be stupid. That's not my stance on it. But as long as it fits within the limits of what makes sense for him and this team, I want to apply pressure for that 1 seed. So I'm not taking the foot off the gas and for some reason saying we're not playing Saquon. Let's see what Gainwell can do for half the touches that Saquon normally gets. Let's split him or something. That would be stupid. Because I can't let a game slip because of that. I want the 1 seed. 1 seed equals bye. 1 seed equals winning in the NFC Championship game. At least having a serious, better percentage chance than you would without it. And I value that. The history of the league tells me that. It's a lot of data to show me that. So that's my number one idea. And I believe they can do it. And then by a result, I believe Saquon will be the reason. And I believe during that, he can build a campaign that's good enough to win an MVP. So it all aligns with going after the Super Bowl, a team that could win the Super Bowl, a team that could be a number 1 seed if the Lions do have a stumble and a hiccup. And most teams tend to do that at some point. You just have to pounce on that opportunity. So your individual goal ends up resulting in your team goal, if that makes sense. And we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see what ends up happening. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Appreciate you guys so much. I love you to death. You guys are phenomenal. Before I head out of here, Garage Beer. It's the best beer to ever touch my lips. Don't worry about an IPA, all right? It's 100% light beer. It's 1,000% quality. It is the best beer in the world. DrinkGarageBeer.com. There's nothing like it. Join the family. All right, with that, have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll talk soon, I'm sure. Have a good rest of your day.